had a lot of experience in big tournaments, man, you know, and this one is different. When you're out there and the crowd is roaring and like it triggers that adrenaline and like you feel your heart start pounding.
It's for everyone, it's for all you guys, even the haters. It's for you guys, this. So take this as a lesson, guys. Keep training, keep grinding, keep believing, and you will achieve.
What's up, FloGrappling fans? If that video didn't get you pumped for today's guest, I don't know what will. Of course, I'm talking about Mr. Mo Jassim back on the show. We are going to talk about all things ADCC. Mo, how you doing?
I'm doing great. How about you?
I'm doing good. So Mo, let's cut right to it. We got a lot of stuff to talk about. We got to catch up because a lot of news has broken, and I'm kind of going off the script here. This is not a breakdown show today. This is my show, but we're going to talk about ADCC and everything that's been developing.
Let's do it.
All right. So first things first, big news dropped about a week ago, maybe just over that. You were able to secure Andre Galvao for the super fight for the upcoming ADCC. Obviously, you know, there's a story with Gordon's health, and there was, you know, a little bit of an incident recently with the two. Can you give us the backstory of, you know, how we got to this point? How are you able to get Galvao to commit to the fight? And also, are we going to see Galvao Gordon? Give us an update. What's the scoop here?
So I've been going back and forth with Galvao since, I believe, August. You know, we were so far away from the event, so I wasn't really pushing it. But the problem is this. It's go time, and if I'm going to start selling tickets this year, which I'm planning to, I need to make a poster. So I reach out to Galvao about 2 months ago, send him an email saying, hey, you know, if you're going to do this, I just need an answer, whether you're in or whether you're out. And to be honest with you, I was on the fence. I would have said there was probably less than a 50% chance he was going to be on it, just, you know, based on my gut feeling. But then he responded. He's just like, I'm in. I was like, wait a minute, you're in? He's like, yeah. So I called him on the phone. We spoke on the phone for about 45 minutes to an hour, went over everything, and he's in. And he had no, you know, I want to make it clear, he had no demands. And, you know, another misconception is this. He actually accepted the match May 1st. I was planning to release it about a month before we were going to sell tickets. But then, you know, with the news about Gordon and stuff like that, I was like, you know what, let's just get it out there, you know, right now.
Okay.
And then in regards to Gordon, sorry, I actually saw Gordon last night. You know, the positive thing is he's actually eating now. He's the heaviest he's ever been. He's still feeling nauseous, but at least now he's able to eat. I'm very, very confident we're going to see Gordon Ryan versus Andre Galvao in ADCC 2022.
Okay, I mean, at the end of the day, that's the match that we all want to see. It's the natural progression of the ADCC super fight title to super fight, you know, the open weight division champion to super fight. So this is what has to happen. You know, obviously there's other contenders out there. There's other names that we kind of floated out there, but nobody, you know, this is it. This is the one we all want to see. So, you know, I'm super stoked that this was able to kind of get finalized. There's still a little bit of a gray area, but it sounds more likely that we're going to have Galvao and Gordon for ADCC. Now, you know, you mentioned this to me behind the scenes. I heard you got some other news for ADCC 2022. Can you give me a little scoop here? What's the news? Tell me what you got there.
Okay, the date is set. So it will be September. Let me make sure. Let me check my phone. September. Let me check my calendar. I don't want to screw this up. Sorry. September. Where is it? There it is. September 17 and 18, 2022, Thomas and Mack Arena. That's the official date for ADCC 2022. We will be selling tickets 1 year out. So I'll start selling tickets in September of this year for the event.
And that's in Las Vegas fight capital of the world. First time ADCC's been in Las Vegas. You know, I heard rumors about you having big billboards on the Las Vegas Strip, and you know, I heard some other crazy stuff that might happen. But you know, we're all excited about this next ADCC. You guys heard the date here for the first time. It's done deal. We got Galvao, we got the date, and you know, it's exciting times because this is the kickoff to ADCC. Now we got the date, now we got the super fight, and now we have an upcoming event coming up on July 17th, and we'll get to that in a sec. But
I also want to say,
yeah, go
for
ahead.
the this Gordon, I mean, ADCC 2022, I've said before, is going to be the biggest grappling event of all time. Like, it's going to destroy what we did for 2019, and that's the beauty of this whole Gordon Galvao thing. These kind of fights happen very rarely, like maybe once in a generation, where you have a guy like Galvao who has more titles in ADCC than anybody. He has 6. He's won 4 super fights. Only Mario Sperry's won more than 1. He hasn't lost in ADCC since 2009. And to be honest, I think his performance with Pena was one of his best performances. So you have, someone that's been in the game a long time, still competing at the highest levels. And then obviously you have Gordon coming in, 3-time ADCC champion. I was checking this recently. He's got like a 73% submission rate in ADCC, which is staggering. So, to have the biggest event in Las Vegas, Thomas and Mack, Gordon Ryan versus Andre Galvao, it's all lining up the way I want it to be honest.
Excellent. So we talked about, the Galvao Gordon match. ADCC is set. Let's get to our next kind of, segment here. Let's talk about the Road to ADCC. If you want to show the graphic there, Tyler. Road to ADCC coming up on July 17th. Main event, Kaynan Duarte, Mateus Denise. And, before we get to the actual matches here, tell me, why this event's happening and the significance of this event in your opinion.
So, unfortunately, we had to delay ADCC this year due to COVID. And I feel like people have been feeding for ADCC. Like, after 2019, the popularity of ADCC has gone up considerably. So I was just, I was talking to you. I'm like, hey, why don't we just do this, ADCC event with ADCC rules? We're flying in the head judge, Peter, from Abu Dhabi for this event. This is something we've never done before. I don't think ADCC has ever partnered up with someone else to do a super fight show like this. I don't think it's ever happened. So it's historic. The card is amazing. And Road to ADCC will lead into the trials and then the World Championship. So everything is just leading up to the World Championship, in my opinion.
Nice. And let's talk about some of the matches. Of course, we showed the graphic there for the main event. Kaynan Duarte, Mateus Denise. What's the significance of this match? For those of you guys that, need a little bit of a freshener on your ADCC history there. Mo, tell them, why we kind of chose that match as the main event.
So we have Kaynan Duarte, who won ADCC last year, 99 plus division. And now we have Mateus Denise, who won the 88 kilogram division. And the thing with Denise is it's very hard to win ADCC on your first go. Like, there's very few people who've done it. So the fact that Denise has done it, he's got a good style for ADCC. He's, good passing, very strong. And I'll be honest with you, my feedback after ADCC 2019 is we're going to see a lot of big names entering the absolute next year. I think people saw what it can do, what happened with Lachlan and stuff. So we might see these guys compete again in the absolute. So anytime we get champion versus champion, that's always exciting. So stylistically, I think it's a great match. And you got to remember, with the rule set, you can't really pull guard unless you want to get a minus. So Kaynan's got some of the best takedown defense I've ever seen, and Denise has got some of the best takedowns I've seen in grappling. So it's interesting.
And another thing too is Denise, while Marcelo Garcia's academy has been kind of closed for a little bit, Denise was training with the K Dojo guys, strong wrestling team. They got Rustam there, a lot of those tough guys. So he's been staying, he's been training, working his wrestling, sharpening his tools. He hasn't just been sitting on the couch like me. He's been actually getting out there and doing the business. So this is going to be a good one. And then, sure. Co-main event, I believe it's going to be the co-main event. Craig Jones, everyone's favorite Australian, against Lucas Hulk Barboza. In your eyes, what was the thought behind this match? And, tell us what you think about that one.
So they've never competed against each other. They were supposed to. This match was supposed to happen over a year and a half ago, but
Yeah.
COVID came and just delayed everything. And then this feeds into the whole Atos DDS rivalry. I think that's a healthy rivalry. Anytime you have, in my opinion, they're the top two teams in no-gi right now. So anytime you have in any sport the top two teams battling it out makes it exciting. Stylistically, I think it'll be an interesting match. Barbosa's very physical, good wrestling, good passing. Craig's primarily more of a guard player. So and I don't know where Hulk's going to be next year. I have a feeling Hulk might drop down to 88 next year. So this could be a preview between Craig and Hulk next year as well. So
nice. And another match that was announced. All the matches, by the way. The feedback that I saw on social media has been insane. I've never seen. I see people saying like they haven't seen a super fight card this stacked in a long time. But the one match that has everyone talking about, it's got to be Mikey Musumeci, Gio Martinez, and I don't want to say it, but if you want to say it, go ahead. But we know there's some ramifications surrounding this match. I know Mikey was invited to ADCC before, couldn't do it twice. Gio is he's been to ADCC already. So tell us the thought process behind this match and what are the ramifications from it?
Yeah, so we'll start from the beginning. So the issue is Mikey Musumeci has been invited twice before, and the second one he accepted and then pulled out. So I was just very blunt with him, and I'm like, listen, if you turn down two invites, the odds of getting a third one's very difficult. Also, you haven't done the trials. So I was like, if you want to have a shot for getting an invite, I got to see you compete under ADCC rules. Because, a lot of people will talk about IBJJF or any other show, but ADCC is ADCC. It's a different rule set. It's very different. So then Mikey Musumeci is a little bit smaller. So I was like, I need to get him someone that's going to test him and to see where he's at. So I thought of Gio. Gio's a little bit smaller for the 66 kilogram guys. He's exciting. I'm a big Gio fan, by the way. So he's won the trials before. He's a multiple time ADCC vet. They're both exciting. They're both going to go for submissions. So this match definitely has implications. And to be honest, you can see that Mikey's taking this no-gi transition very seriously. Like his match with Lucas Pinheiro and Juni, for me, were very eye-opening. So this match definitely has a lot of implications for Mikey, Gio, etc.
Nice. And like I said, a lot of people are talking about this. And if you notice on social media, things are getting a little spicy between Gio and Mikey. There's some friendly trash talking. Even with Hulk and Greg Jones, they started putting out some memes making fun of it. I love it. I think it's hilarious. If it's friendly and stuff like that, when it starts getting a little overboard, that's a little too much. But some friendly trash talking is okay. So yeah, 100%. Man. So many good matches. Of course, we got Elizabeth Clay versus Ana Carolina Vieira. Dante versus Nikki Ryan. Roberto versus Andrew Wiltz. The head to toe, the card is stacked. Any other matches that kind of stand out? Have any sort of other ramifications of those matches? Anything else that stands out for you?
I would definitely say Roberto Jimenez and Andrew Wiltz. I feel like they both have not been in the World Championship. Roberto did the trials last time. So I feel like they're both in sort of the same boat. They both obviously want to be in the World Championship. I assume both of them are going to be doing trials. So them taking this match, it helps, to be honest, both of them. So we get to see Wiltsy compete finally under the ADCC rule set. I think he'll do well. He's got a good style for ADCC. He's got good takedowns, the buzzsaw passing. He's just well-rounded, and he's exciting. Same with Roberto. So it'll be interesting to see them test each other. And, it could definitely have invite implications for both of them.
And I look at the women's match, Liz Clay versus Ana Carolina, very stylistically different. Liz Clay, bottom player. She's got leg locks. She's got arm locks. Now she's showing a little bit more of a diversity in her submission attacks. Ana Carolina, amazing passer, multiple-time world champion. So it's very, very different stylistic matchup. I can't wait to see that one. And then, of course, Nikki Ryan and Dante Leone, I think it goes without saying this is probably Nikki's biggest test in the last few years. You go from his recent fights to this, but now with Dante, he's fighting a guy that beat Lucas Lepre. I believe he medaled at ADCC, did really, really well. What do you think about that matchup?
Yeah, I mean, Dante placed top 4 in the last one. It was his first ADCC. So anyone who can do that, he beat Lucas Lepri. He's very strong, very good takedowns, always comes in shape. So it's going to be a real challenge for Nikki. Nikki's obviously gained size recently. He's going from 66 to 77. So it's going to be a real big test for Nikki to see, where he's at. And the whole thing is, if either one of them pull, that's a minus. So it'll be interesting to see how the wrestling goes. And I agree with you 100%. This is Nikki's biggest test to date.
Dante actually messaged me yesterday asking about the rule. He's like, "Are you sure if it's negative if he pulls?" I'm like, "Yep." He's like, "Okay, brother, we're on." All right, and we talk about the Road to ADCC card. One match I really, really want to talk about as well. I mentioned it earlier, but Liz Clay, Ana Carolina, very stylistically different competitors. Ana Carolina fought in ADCC. Liz won the trials, but didn't get a chance to fight. Ana's got more of like that fundamental, takedown, passing, back take, jiu-jitsu. Liz is like a submission machine. What do you think about that matchup?
I mean, I think it's a classic, guard player versus top player. Elizabeth Clay is known for her leg locks. The first event I ever did was the ADCC 2017 West Coast Trials, in which Elizabeth Clay won. And, primarily with leg locks. And she was only 16 at the time. I didn't even know who she was. I'm like, wow. Yep. Fortunately, as you said, she didn't get to compete in 2017. So it's just good to see her back competing. She looks healthy. She's doing very well. And she's going to be taking on a very, very tough challenge with Ana Carolina. She trains, with the Fight Sports team. She's a veteran. So it's going to be very interesting to see how Elizabeth Clay deals with, someone with so much experience.
Yeah, it's going to be an amazing fight. And, we call this event the Road to ADCC, and it really is the kickoff for ADCC season. This really does start the Road to ADCC, because after this, we got the trials. We got 3 trials this year, and then we got the trials coming next year. So just a reminder, you guys at home, for the trials, the European trials will be on September 18th. The North American trials will be on November 6th. And then the Asian trials will be December 11th. So go to adcombat.com. And as we all know, all of the trials will be streamed on FloGrappling, so you guys can watch at home. You can follow along on the bracket live on Flow Arena. How cool is that, Mo?
I mean, it's great because one of the biggest complaints last year was people didn't get to see the trials because, people want to see what their opponents did and stuff like that. Even for myself, like I didn't get to go to the Brazil trials. I don't know what happened. I had to just ask the judges. So, this time, having it all on Flow, it allows the competitors to see the other competitors, how, study them. And then also just it allows the audience to be part of that journey and process to the World Championship, where they get to see the trials, this person submitted everyone at the trials. I can't wait to see what he does at the World Championship. So it just allows everyone to, see what happened at the trials and prepare.
Yeah, and also, just going back and, when it comes down to the ADCC Worlds, like if you look at the bracket and you're like, there's, this European trials winner, and being the ability to go back and look at his matches on the archives, it's super valuable. As a commentator, I love that. I can go back and track. Otherwise, you're trying to dig up VHS tapes back in the day and you just can't do it. So being on Arena, being on Flow, it's going to take this thing to another level, as we all know. I just rhymed there. Okay, so another thing we want to talk about real quick. You are doing a rules clinic with Peter the weekend of Road to ADCC at the same venue. You want to talk a little bit about that, why you're doing it, and what people can kind of get from there?
So we're going to be doing something very interesting next month. So Peter is flying in from Abu Dhabi for this event. He's the head judge of ADCC. He's been around since the beginning, 1998. So it's very rare for me to see him. So I was like, hey, why don't me and Peter will be doing a ADCC judge and rules referee seminar July 16 and 17 at noon at the same arena as Road to ADCC. And the purpose of this is 2 things. Number 1, I plan to start doing ADCC Opens in the U.S. but starting the end of this year possibly, and ramping up to doing one every 6 weeks to 2 months. But I need local judges and referees. So we're going to train them. It's going to be a very extensive seminar, 1 to 2 hours. We'll answer everyone's questions. So, we'll be able to get local judges that will be able to use for these opens. The second thing we're going to be doing is me and Peter are going to be recording, the whole ADCC rules and seminar, etc., and uploading it on YouTube, which will allow the audience to fully understand the ADCC rules. It'll allow the competitors, even commentators. So anyone that wants to understand the rules, they'll be able to see it on YouTube for free. Because anyone who says they understand ADCC rules and they think it's easy, they don't know the rules. I'm telling you now, they're extremely complex and it takes a lot of work to understand them. So this is the first step to starting to do the ADCC Opens.
Yeah, I've been to about 3 or 4 rule seminars before the trials, and especially the worlds. And yeah, you gotta pay attention. And if you're a high level competitor that wants to fight in ADCC, or you're a coach of a high level team, you should be attending these, because you can't just go in and assume that other BJJ style tournament point systems, and your guy loses and you start yelling. Like, you got to learn the rules of the game if you want to play. So I highly recommend it. So it'll be on July 16th, 17th, 18th. Is it 2 days or 3 days, Mo?
2 days. It'll be July 16 and 17 at noon at the same arena as the Road to ADCC, same venue. So
Okay, great. And then, with the announcement of open tournaments coming to the U.S., that's going to be great, because now you're going to have even more, American competitors getting used to frequently competing under the ADCC's, unique rule set. So by the time they hit trials, or by the time they hit worlds, they're going to be masters of the rules. You mentioned to me privately, Mikey Musumeci already hitting you up asking about the unique rule set. So, those in the know are trying to further their knowledge of the rules. So you guys got to go out to those rule, clinics and learn everything you need to know about the ADCC.
I'll be honest with you. I'll be honest with you as well. I always tell people, you're going to train 6 months to a year, whatever it is, for this ADCC, spend some time to learn the rules. Because, I've been around ADCC for 21 years. And let me tell you, the people who understand the rules, that's the difference between winning the trials or even winning a world championship. The rules are complex, but if you fully understand them, that's a huge advantage for you. And by the way, at the seminar, I'm going to be going over strategies that I've come up with over the years for guard players, or even, takedown based athletes. So I'm going to go over the rules and strategies for what I would implement.
Nice. And I think people need to understand that ADCC rule set was originally designed to have a grappling tournament that would be open for any grappling style to compete in. So technically, if you're a sambo guy, a judo guy, a sumo guy, a jiu-jitsu guy, a wrestler, you have the ability to win at ADCC. That's why the rules are designed so uniquely. It's not just another variation of BJJ rules, the standard IBJJF rule set. It really isn't. It's designed so that any grappler can go there and win. So you have to think, when they first did this, it was 98. There was grappling, MMA, and everything was completely different landscape. So I highly recommend going to the clinic. We'll have more information up that on the website as well. So looking forward to that. So Mo, I got a couple fan questions. I know you're a busy guy, so I don't want to take too much of your time. First question from the Choking Hazard podcast, my fellow Canadian brothers. What's the process for getting an ADCC invite? I know we mentioned this before, but let's clear the air, because people just assume if they do good on this show or if they do good at this event, they're going to get an invite. I've seen Brazilian media saying that Mika Galvao is going to get an invite and stuff like that. So clear the air. What's it take to get an invite to ADCC?
I mean, the threshold to get an invite is pretty high. If you're an ex-champion, you've been in ADCC before, you've won the trials before, it's very rare for us to give an invite to someone who has never done the trials or competed. I mean, it's pretty rare. Because like I said previously, we need to see how you're going to do under the ADCC rule set. And there's a lot of other factors too. Like, I'll be honest with you, Riccardo, the 77, 88, and -99 division for the men's is full. And I have some heavy hitters on the waiting list. So that's the issue. You got to go do the trials. I've spoken to Mika Galvao. I'm a huge fan of his. I want him to see him in ADCC. He'll be doing the trials, and I think he'll do very well. So if you want to get an invite, my suggestion is this. If you haven't been in ADCC before, do both trials. If you do both trials and you do well, you medal, you're exciting, you have a pretty good your chances of getting invite go substantially up. But if you say, hey, I'm a 2-time no-gi world champion, that's not going to give that much weight. It's just a completely different rule set. ADCC is much more physical. Go ask the competitors. The whole leg lock game. I know IBJF added the leg locks now, but we haven't really seen that. And it's just a completely different rule set, and we have to see how you're going to do under that rule set. I've seen world champions go into the trials and lose in the first round.
Yeah. And, I got two quick stories about, the trials and so forth. Number one, 2011, Jason Manley went to the trials in the West Coast. He fought every match, won every match like super quick. He lost in the finals to Enrique Coco, or I can't remember who it was, but whoever was in the division that won had to pull out of that division, or there was somebody got sick or something. So the ADCC judges, Marco was there and Peter, they messaged me and they were like, hey, who is that guy, Manley? They remembered how good he did, and then they ended up giving him an invite. So if you perform well at the trials, you're performing directly in front of the ADCC judges and referees. So they're going to remember that, rather than you just sending an email telling them you won, the local tournament. So that's my first story. The second tournament is Nikki Ryan, went out there, did the trials. He didn't win in 2017. Yes, but he flew his ass to Finland. He had no invite. He went there anyway. And then sure enough, was it Justin Rader got sick and couldn't compete? They needed somebody else. He was the man. He did the trials. They know that he was, I think he got like fourth in the trials. So he did good enough to show his stuff. Then he got in. So there you go. Two guys, they did the trials. They didn't end up winning, but they still got away. So they didn't just sit back and, start making petitions on their Instagram with their 200 followers. You got to get out there.
Look at Marcelo Garcia. It's a funny story because Marcelo Garcia got second in the trials. Same thing. I think it was Daniel Marias, I think, won, and he couldn't do it. So Marcelo comes in and then he comes in and wins the whole division. So that's what I'm saying is there's a lot of my boss in ADCC, Guy Nevins, the first question he always asks me is, did they do the trials? So it's very important to do the trials. If you want to, even if you don't win it, if you medal or you do well, it raises your chance of an invite dramatically. And remember, last ADCC, we had like 18 people pull out. So, even if the division gets full, there's always injuries or visa issues. So last year 2019 was the most pullouts I've ever seen in ADCC.
Yep, it happens. So, get your ass to the trials and, maybe you'll get the invite to the big show one day. Next question from Michael Maeda. Will the following ADCC go back to odd years 2023, or will it be 2 years from the most recent 2024, 2026?
Great question. Someone asked me this yesterday. It'll have to be 2024. And the reason is this. It takes a long time to do this event. You can't do it in a year anymore because you have 8 trials. So that would mean right after 2022, we'd have to start the trials in 2 months after, So it doesn't really work. It takes a lot of time and preparation to put these events. So it would have to be 2024.
Okay. Next question from David Kinsella. If Mo he wanted to know, is Mo truly done after 2022? Will he have any input on who takes over? So what's the scoop there, Mo?
So yeah, this is my second one. I was obviously blessed to be the only person to do ADCC twice and that consecutively. To be honest with you, running this event takes a lot. It takes a lot out of me, man. It's a lot of pressure. It's a lot of stress. I don't do this for money. I just love the sport. And to be honest, like with 2022, now after 2019, I was nervous for different reasons. My first major event. Now I know what to do. But on the flip side of that, now we have to shock and impress everybody again. So it's a lot of pressure. I'll be honest with you, 2019, I wasn't going 100%. Let's say I was going 30%. This one, I'm going 100%. I'm going all out for this one. So after this event, if I feel I can't keep pushing it or expanding it, I'll step aside for sure.
All right. Fair enough. Okay. Alec Kearns asked me, after Nikki Rod's meteoric rise in success in the ADCC rules format, has that caused you to look for wrestlers who are crossing over to BJJ for invites? An example being Pat Downey, world-class wrestler now crossing over to BJJ, training with world champions.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be honest with you. I've had a lot of messages from wrestlers. And to be honest, Riccardo, I've had famous UFC fighters messaging me about the trials, which is surprising. I think people saw what Nikki Rod did, and they're going to try to emulate that. But I will say Nikki Rod is sort of like an enigma because Nikki Rod's not some all-star D1 wrestler. He just got this weird style that works for him. And, these wrestlers are going to realize real quick, they better work on their leg lock defense, based on the trials that I have seen, everyone's attacking the legs a lot. So they have a lot of work to do. I know they have good takedowns. That's a good base, but they're going to have to definitely train their weaknesses if they really want to win the trials.
All right. Well, guys, I've heard from the Flow Wrestling team that, some high-level wrestlers are, caught some interest. I think after seeing all the media that Flow put out from the last ADCC and, looking at how the ADCC has launched the careers of some of the biggest names in grappling, some guys didn't even win ADCC. They just had good performances there, and now they're superstars. They own gyms. They own this. They have DVDs on Fanatics and all sorts of stuff. So it really builds your name. It builds your brand. And I always say it, when Joe Rogan in the UFC talks about a person's grappling accolades, he always mentions he's an Abu Dhabi ADCC champion over anything else, and I think because that translates so well to mixed martial arts, and mixed martial arts being the biggest media out there for combat sports, we got to try to capitalize on it. So being in Vegas, maybe we'll see some UFC fighters step up last minute. I think it's going to be an awesome show.
100%. I mean, we've had high-level MMA guys do before. GSP's been in it. Diego Sanchez, Gilbert Melendez, Jake Shields. So maybe we'll go back to that. I have room in the heavyweight division, so we'll see what I can do with that one as well.
I saw some clips of GSP in Puerto Rico training with the squad. Have you got to roll with him yet?
So I was supposed to go, but I had to do this show today. I saw him last night. He came over. So tomorrow I'm going to training, and we'll see if I can land the money sweep on him.
If you could take GSP down, or you can land the money sweep on him, get video proof, and I'll buy you dinner. All right, steak dinner on me.
Deal.
All right, Mo. Thank you so much for your time today. We got a lot of info. Like I said, I wanted to cut right to it. Once again, guys at home, Road to ADCC, July 17th. Don't forget. Biggest fight card of the year, Kynan versus Mateus, Craig versus Hulk, Mikey versus Gio, Liz versus Ana Carolina, Nikki versus Dante, Roberto versus Wiltz. And then the trials, September 18th, European, November 6th, North American, and the Asian trials, December 11th. Mo, continue kicking ass with ADCC. Hopefully I'll see you there at the Road to ADCC. If not, we'll be in touch. But thank you so much for your time, brother.
Anytime. My pleasure. All
right, guys, there you have it there from Puerto Rico, Mo Jassim, head organizer at ADCC. This is Riccardo Ammendolia for a special Baleia's Breakdown, more of a breaking news Baleia's Breakdown show today. I'll see you guys next time. Take care.